Thank you very much for giving this platform just to share my thoughts to everyone around here. It's been ages, like I've been related with Korea Foundation for such a long period of time. And this is my, I don't know, like fourth or fifth time I'm doing this kind of sessions these days. So I hope, like you guys would be very, I'm not sure, like the lectures, or should I say it as an presentation, like everywhere I go, I just tell every people, I'm not that much of a professional speaker or a lecturer, but just I keep up doing what I do. So I give up my stories, the experiences that I have here in South Korea, the journeys that I have been through. This is what I talk about. And I hope, like from this session, you guys living here in South Korea might have an understanding about how things, how culture, and how everything goes here in South Korea. So I was thinking before starting, yesterday, like what should I be telling you guys? So I think you have been here. I heard like all of you are right now residing here in South Korea. So maybe some of the situations or some of the things that I would say would be similar to your or my thought as well, because you have been through so much here in South Korea as well. Some of you might be students here, some of might be doing your jobs here in South Korea. So we are from a different background with diverse thing. But when I saw the list, the people of the list who would be taking this session, I was pretty impressed. Like there were people who were already doing their postgraduate, everyone who's like graduated, some of them doing their doctorate. So yeah, I was pretty flattered because for me, like studying has not been that much of a friend for me from since when I was a young kid. So everyone else, like when they see me, they'll be like, yeah, dude, you do so many speakings, like you can speak 5 languages, you are pretty good in studies, but I don't look that much as a nerdy thing, like even my classes that I put on, it's just as a cosplay that I look funny and like I look like a nerdy guy. So yeah, besides that, okay, so I was thinking, like what should I be talking to you guys so that it would be interesting, because it's evening and you guys might be having so much to do, but still, like you took out your time just to listen to this guy who is from Nepal and so stuff. So I was thinking, what should I be doing, like I should be doing something interesting so that you guys would be pretty much happy, like that you'll be thinking that you did not spend an hour just like that. So I just was thinking yesterday night and I thought, okay, let's put my title, what should we do? So this is the title what I have thought about. So I'll go in brief. I hope, like everywhere I go, when I talk, I tell to people that it's not that just good, like only me speaking about myself. So I would be giving you time at the last session. So I would want you to have a healthy conversation with me as well, so that I can learn from you guys as well, and you can, like get something from me as well. So after I finish this, I will be giving you 15 to 20 minutes at last. I hope lots of you would have some questions for me or even suggestions for me. Like everything is very welcomed for me. So let's start what I have prepared right now. So first of all, if I have to start, this is very traditional in Nepal as well. So this is the insa that we do in Nepal. In Korea, they just bow down and they just say 안녕하세요 or 안녕하십니까. But in Nepal, we have this tradition of joining our hands and looking at the person and telling namaste. Okay, so this namaste has been around for me since I was born. I've been looking at this particular word for such a long period of time, but I didn't know what it meant, because when I came to Korea, people started asking me, like, oh, namaste, I've heard that. We do it in yoga classes. My teacher used to say namaste, and we used to start doing yoga. So even I was surprised that I didn't know what namaste was. Just from childhood days, I've been hearing this. I just thought it was hi, hello type of thing. But as I started living here in South Korea, people were very curious about this particular word as well. So what is this actually? Then I started doing my researches. I started asking my people back there in Nepal, my granny, you know, like my grandfathers and all the people, those who have been using this word. So I found it was pretty amazing word that it contains is the explanation they give is like in Korean they say 내 안에 있는 신이 당신 안에 있는 신을 존경한다, 배려한다. So this means like the God in me is totally respecting you and considering you as my colleague, as my friend. So that's what the whole Namaste means. So I think, you know, it's just a small gesture, but it contains so much of good meaning and good positivity. So I hope from next time onwards, you know, like you see a guy from Nepal, you see a guy from India or any Southeast Asian countries, and just go ahead and do this Namaste thing, they would be more than happy to receive your Namaste. Yeah, so as you know, in the beginning, I come from Nepal. I originally come from Nepal. You've already heard in the introduction as well. So I brag about being a Nepali, you know, like when I'm here in South Korea, because I came here in 2010 in South Korea, and nobody knew where Nepal was at that time. I used to say, you know, where are you from? And I used to say Nepal, and they were like, Nepal, it is like your hand kind of thing. So yeah, it used to be, you know, like I used to be a little bit sad because yeah, we have a beautiful country called Nepal. You know, I'm from Nepal, and people here are still less unaware of where this whole Nepal is. So they used to say, is it a part of Nepal? Is it a part of India, or is it a part of China? And that used to hurt me a lot as well, you know, like because if they say, I don't know about Nepal, it's okay. But they make it sound it as if we are some part of India or some part of China, you know, like as in it comes in and it hurts. But these days, you know, like I'm very happy that people here in South Korea have known so much about Nepal. But yeah, I think the TV part and the work that I do have helped me a lot in giving more information about Nepal as well. So just to say a little bit more about Nepal, if I have to talk about Nepal, you know, I can go on for 2-3 days and you guys might be like, hey dude, stop it. So yeah, I just would like to point out some of the points that we have it in Nepal. For me, Nepal, it's my hometown. Yeah, I love the country. The natural diversity that we have in Nepal is brilliant. You know, it's out of the box, I might say, because when you say Nepal, I cannot take out the word called Himalayas, you know. So here in Korea as well, people say, if I say Nepal, they say Himalaya. So the tallest mountain, Everest, is in Nepal. So I have a lot to brag about it as well. So I think there would be people from other places as well which have like high mountains, but in Nepal it's like they have 7 peaks which is above 8,000, and we have a diverse multilingual country. So we speak more than 123 different languages. So for me, growing up, it would be 3 languages that would be for me, you know, we have to learn. So it's first would be my mother language, second would be Nepali, and third would be Hindi, because we are so close to India. So 3 languages, I think all Nepali would be proud to say that they are born gifted learning 3 languages. So that's how I think I'm very blessed to be in a place like that where it is so much of a diverse country. And to tell you more about Nepal, I think we have more festivals. You know, they say Nepalese are going to be spoiled by only festivals. So when we were students, I used to love having festival, because they used to say, you know, in Nepal, 365 days, it's all festival. So even for when I came here in Korea, I was shocked that, you know, like they have only 2 big festivals where they only take a short period of breaks. So I was like, wow, this is going to be hard for me, because back there in Nepal, there's a similar kind of festival like Chuseok. So in Chuseok, we used to have 1 month of holiday, and everything used to be like, you know, shut down from banks till, you know, like officially everything has to be shut till 1 month. So when I came here and Chuseok was just like 3 days of holiday, and I was like, oh my God, this is the national holiday and they only have 3 days leave. So these kind of transactions we had, you know, but in Nepal, I think yeah, there's a very diverse people living. So we have a very diverse festival as well. So 365 days, it's all festival. Recently, we had this festival 5 days festival. It's, you know, like the first day is the day for the crows. Second, the days for the dogs. Third would be the days for the cows. And fourth would be the day of our body. And fifth day would be the day of the siblings. So, you know, like we have so much of weird festivals as well. There's a festival called Koguma Day. So it's like whole day you eat sweet potatoes, you know, from morning till evening. So yeah, it's bizarre, you know, like the whole country, the whole diversity, the background of the people living in Nepal is very, very different. So I think in Nepal, you know, like the Himalayas are there, and then there's like small hilly areas, and there are plain tarai as well. So this is how the diversification has been there in Nepal, I guess. So, you know, like if you get the chance next time when this COVID thing is getting in control, I wish, you know, like you could go to Nepal and see what it is all about. So if you need anything about tips and, you know, like good things, where to go, where not to go in Nepal, just tell me and I can give you some cool tips as well. Okay, so I would like to start, you know, like every time here we say in Korea as well, 우리는 다 다르지. 근데 틀린 거는 아니잖아요. They say, right? Like being different is not that bad. And we are different, but we are not wrong. That's what we say. And that's what we have to learn, I think. But, you know, back there in Nepal, when I was a kid growing, I didn't see, you know, why people were so much stressed with this kind of caste system and this kind of people having different backgrounds. So I don't know, like if you have gone through this or not, but I have seen lots of Korean people being educated with these kind of stuffs as well. In Nepal, in India, there's a system called caste system. So here in Korea, you see like they have their own surnames like Kim Shi or Pak Shi or Choi Shi. So it's similar in Nepal as well. We have a different kind of surnames. So we have been divided into, you know, Brahmin, Kshatri, Vaishya, Sudra, and Dalits. So this is how they have the caste system already there in Nepal. So when I was a child, I've been raised, you know, like we have to keep this pyramid, this system going on. But I'm not sure who created this kind of, you know, they tell this is a cultural thing, but I don't think this is something which we can call it as a culture, because this is something which is very bad, as in me growing up in my own country. So I don't know like who created this. I think the people in power, the people who wanted to be in power, they created this kind of system, and I think it has to be demolished. So, you know, the Brahmins, let me tell you, I'll give you a brief explanation about this. So Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and Dalit. So this is how the system works. The first top layers are Brahmins. So these people are the must people when we have something, you know, like we have to do some kind of, let's say, traditional thing. Like if in places some kids are born, then we need this kind of people coming to your home and give you blessings. So they are the only people who can touch God. That's what they say. And they are the people who are very close to kings. And then comes Kshatriya. They are the warriors who fight in battle as in first line people. And then there are Vaishyas who are in this time period, they say white collar job. Okay, so they are like maybe doctors, they might be businessmen, they might be, I tell you, you know, like there's no difference between any kind of work that we do. Something I love is my work, and something I do is the work that we do. But they have created a system where they say Vaishyas are the people who have like white collar job, and Sudras are the one who do a different kind of job, like let's say cleaning, or, you know, like some kind of job which is below average. That's how they used to say it before. And here the people called Dalits are totally different people. They are not considered as people. Okay, so in Nepal, what they used to say was, if this is a bottle of water and a man from this Dalit society comes and touches the water, it's polluted. They used to say, if you drink that water, you're gonna die, or you're gonna go to hell. That's what they used to teach us, and that's what we have been listening from ages. Okay, so in 1968 or 60s to 70s, this whole system was demolished. Okay, as in in our constitution, this thing was taken off, but still in social wise, it is still existing. Even my granny, she's so much obsessed with this, like she used to tell me like, okay, Sujan, we are from the Vaishya caste system. So you cannot marry someone who is below us or above us. So it has to be someone from the Vaishya system. So I didn't get the point, like we're all same people. I had my friends who were Dalits, and they used to tell me, you should not play with him, you should not touch them, you should not go to their house, you should not be eating their food. So yeah, this is still going on these days. I know it's been better these days because youths like us are telling this is bad, and we're trying to change it these days. But still, there are socially people who are very old, don't want to take or don't want to accept this thing as an, like they are still telling me that, okay, we have to be in touch with this kind of system. So at times I feel bad for my granny as well, like I'm angry at her, but I don't think it's her problem or it's her case. It's not her fault, because the people who were before, the people in power, they are the one who polluted my granny's mind and my granny's social status. So this is how I think the people all over are being forced to get onto this system. So I think the youth like us, living in different countries, like when they go back to their country, we have to be able to, give them the proper knowledge and tell them that this is not the thing that we should be following. So I think the time and the places will be coming. So it will take time for us to, get this system totally out of the country or out of the world as well. So I think this thing would come in future, but it will take a bit of time, and it will take a lot of forces from a youth like us as well. So I told you I've been here for 10 years. There are people, I've been through so much after being here in South Korea. First of all, when I first came here in South Korea, I had no idea about South Korea, and I didn't know what the country would be treating me as. So the first time I remember I came here, I did not speak one word of Korean. I had so much trouble just getting out of the airport areas before, like there used to be, these days, I think, like South Korea has done a lot in like keeping the multicultural aspects alive. So when you go to the airport, you put your fingers and they just reply in your own mother language. For example, like I'm from Nepal, if I go and put the fingertips on, they started to tell everything in Nepali. There's this machine system these days, but back then, before 10 years, they were nothing like that. And even in airports, people didn't speak that much of Korean and that much of English. So it was very hard for me to like just to get into Korea was very hard. So seven months I did my Korean language. Then I started. Then one of my teachers from the Ohakwan, or the language center, told me that you are good enough to get into the college. Try your luck on the exam papers and to see what will happen. So she's the one who mentored me a lot before. So if that teacher was not there, I think I would not have been here in South Korea for this long period of time. So I'm very thankful to her. Like I'm still keeping in touch with her as well. She was the one who guided me about things in South Korea, how the education system works, everything. So I was very close to her as well, and she's the one who guided me. And I went to the university, but university days were very hard for me because in Dankook University, I was the only person. Okay, I was the only person from Nepal, and there were no one from Nepal. So it was hard for me to just get around, because I have to be friendly with the Korean people, and my Korean was not that much good enough. But still, I tried hard. I was determined to get into college. I was trying to be friends with Korean people. I studied Korean as well. So 4 years, I graduated, and then I was about to do my saksa, the postgraduate, but I could not do it because I was selected as a member in Pijang Samhedam in JTBC, which is also called Abnormal Summit. So it was a program back there in 2014, which was a very, very popular amongst the South Korean TV channels as well, and the entertainment program. So I had the chance to go in. So at that time, like my last semester was very, very special for me, because I wanted to, they call it chogi chorop here. So that means if you have a better point, you can skip one semester and you can go for the post-graduation system. So that is what we have here in South Korea. But I was in a heat to, get this chogi chorop, but I had 0.2 percentage. I had less, so I could not graduate. So I had to stay there and do one class. And I was like, come on, for one classes, I'm like paying 4,000 USD just for one class. I was like, okay, this 4,000 USD, I'm going to use it in a proper way. So what I did in college was went to university. I joined all the clubs that were there, like there was like mountain club, there were like basketball clubs, there was movie club. I was determined, like all the money that I'm paying in the university, I'm going to use it. So that's what I had in my mind. And at that time, Oprah Winfrey was my very good idol. So she used to say, like, you never say no to anything. You say, I will try. So that was the motto and quote for me. So I started doing, like different stuffs which I didn't even know. So that's when I was doing this movie thing. So we had the club called Korean Movie Supporters. So we get the chance to write the subtitles, and we check the Korean movies, we put the subtitles in English and we show it to the foreign people. So that was the club where I was pretty active. From there, I got the chance to meet the people from Bijangsamhedam, and that's when I got contacted by the producers from there. And then from that onwards, my journey to the entertainment field started. So till right now, I'm doing various kind of TV programs in South Korea as well. I'm also in a parachute manufacturing company. So even this parachute manufacturing company was a very bizarre for me. In the 2013, I guess I went for trekking in Nepal. So I took some of the Korean guys with me. So I did a guide job there. So I could speak a little bit of Korean at that time. So I took some people. There was this particular guy. When we're going to Everest, it takes two weeks to go there. So it's like 8 hours walk every day. So there was this one guy who used to stick to me, and like he used to ask so many different questions every time. So I was like very, very like I didn't like this guy actually. So every day, 14 days, he just kept on asking me questions on questions and questions and questions. But I was pretty, like positive, because I was there to work for them. I was doing my job. So I had to earn money as well. So I just did my job. I just started to give him answers. And after I came back to Korea after like 3 months, this guy called me and said, like, okay, I want to have dinner with you. I went there and he proposed me, like, okay, he gave me a proposal telling, okay, Sujan, we're going to start this company called Vital Parachute. It's going to be parachute manufacturing company. We want you to act as our marketing manager. So I was like, huh? So I said, like, shouldn't I send you my, like portfolio, or shouldn't you take my interview? And that guy was like, yeah, I had a couple good interview with you, like 14 days interview. What more could I ask for? This is the longest interview I've done to any of the people here in my company. So that's how I got into this bizarre company, manufacturing parachutes. But yeah, still I'm working here and I'm having good time. I've learned so much from here. I've gone to so many different countries. Met so many different dignities as well. So this is what my whole journey has kept here alive me for 10 years. Okay, so this is Samsam Day. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Samsam Day. So it's like Samor Samil is, I don't know who made this whole day, because I hate this. I hate this. When I was a student, I hated this because I was a part-time job. I did part-time job in Kogi Chip. So Samgyeopsal Jeep for 2 or 3 years when I was a student. So Samsam Day is a day when people who love Samgyeopsal come to enjoy Samgyeopsal. So the sajangnims and only the people who love pork kogi love Samsam Day. But for us as in part-timers, we used to hate this day because there was like crazy people all over the the restaurant, asking for this and that. Yeah, it was a hectic time at that time. So this day, it was around 2012, I guess. Yeah, I had like a sad memory while doing this part-time job. So it was a Samsam Day thing. I was like, we all were like very working hard, hectic. They were calling from here, they were calling from there. So at this time, there was this Ajashi. I think he was around 50, something like that. And he was not drunk, he was there. So he suddenly shouts, like, Yogyo! And I was like, I go running there and I was like, yeah, what's the matter? And he's like, 여기 집에 소금도 없어요? So he shouted at me, So I was like, okay, I should get the salt. So I got the salt and I came back and he just looked at me, gazed at me, and he said, 그래서 냄새가 나는구나. That's why you stink. That's what he said. I was like, what happened just there? I was just surprised. So I think I was very angry and sad at the same time. This mixed feeling coming up and down for me. So I don't know, like I didn't know how to react. I thought, like I should just catch him and like throw a punch at him, or, like should I be shouting at him? I don't know what you guys would have done at that time. I don't know. So, like maybe you might have different feelings. I don't know. You might be shouting at him, but I don't know. Luckily that day, I just stopped there, for 30 seconds and I didn't speak a word. And at that time, I feel I was like such a fool, like I didn't say anything to him, even I have done nothing at all. So at that time, I don't know where this energy came to me. So I just stood there for 30 seconds and there's my uncle, who we call him as a Buddha in our house. So he always tells me, like when I call him, he says, Sujan, you're in a different country. If someone says you anything, like the first thing you have to say is sorry. You don't overreact because you're learning there, blah, blah, blah. He used to always tell me this kind of stuff when I'm like calling him. So that day, I don't know, I thought of him and I just sat there and, for 30 seconds. And then I went outside and I came back. I went to the Ajashi and told him, like, okay, 죄송합니다, Ajashi. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that Korean people love to have this kirimjang with their meat. So I'm learning this from next time. When you come to our restaurant, like I'll be the first one standing with salt and oil and I'll be like welcoming you at the same time. So 다음에 오시면은 더 잘해드릴게요. 오늘은 죄송했습니다. That's what I told. And I felt so bad. I went home and I was like, I didn't do nothing. But he shouted at me and I'm a fool that I'm like, apologizing to him. But now I come to this point and I think, at that time, I did a very good job. I won, I think. So, like having a patience like that is very hard to achieve. And what I did that time was very good for me and good for my people as well, I think. Well, that's why I'm here right now, like talking to you in front. Maybe, like if I would have caught him and if I would have thrown a punch, maybe he would have overreacted and he would have cursed not only me, but my people as well. It might be like, okay, where is this guy from? He's from Nepal. Okay. So guys from Nepal are all this way. They behave like that. So this kind of interpretation might come up. So, like what I did that time was pretty obviously, like I felt very bad at that time. But now whenever I tell the story to people, I feel good. And people around me, they say, wow, Susan, you did very good job. That kind of patience you showed in, like that kind of endurance that you had, it's hard to get. So I think if you have these kind of, things happening around you, it's just not like shouting would do anything or, like getting to this kind of people would do. Maybe that Ajashi might be seeing me on televisions and, like he might be sorry right now because, I know this guy, like that time I said something to him. So never know, who never know. But I wish if he saw me on TV as well, So yeah, this is something I think people should have, a little bit of patience because at that time, once you have that anger bursting from your, and once you throw up that kind of words in him, it's not going to come back and you cannot take it back. So I think sometimes this kind of patience that you have to show in as well, I guess. So mm, that was the part when I had these kind of stuff, like they say, oh, this is discrimination, but I don't want to put it as in, they discriminate me and people are this, people are that. No, I don't want to go very deep on that, because even in my country, in the beginning, I told you there's discrimination. So there's everywhere there's discrimination all the time. And when there is people like us, from different diverse countries residing on a place, there's going to be misunderstanding. There's going to be so much of things that would come out, and that can be as like from my point of view, if you think that as a discrimination, it's going to be a discrimination. But if you think it's an misunderstanding, it's going to be a misunderstanding. So how you put it according to you is going to be different. So Korean has helped me a lot in like putting this kind of discrimination as a misunderstanding for me. So as a different person residing here in South Korea, learning Korean and learning Korean culture had made a pretty good difference for me, I guess. So when I'm sitting around with my friends here in Korea, talking to them in Korean, they don't realize, like Sujan is from a different country. We just get along because I'm like more close to, I'm trying to get more close to Korean. I'm trying to get more close to the culture they have. And it's not only that I'm losing my own identity. It's not that I'm not being loyal to Nepal, or I'm not being loyal to what I have in Nepal or what I've learned from Nepal. The thing is, like, because I know Korean, because I can speak Korean and I can explain everything in Korean, the understanding would be like I'm giving, like I'm telling them, okay, in Nepal, guys, we do like this, but here in Korea, it's different. So this kind of thing, this kind of misunderstanding, I can, like I get it away just by telling them and just by teaching them. So Korean has been a big part for me. So I think learning Korean was something which I did very best. I think I don't regret it, because right now, just because of my Korean language, I've been invited to so many good places, just to do programs. Even here in the office, most of the thing I do is translation, because I talk to the buyers in other different countries and talk to my bosses here in Korean. So this is how, like Korean language has done so much of thing to me. It just might look as a small part of the whole life, but starting from Korean, it goes on and on, like from Korean language, you learn their culture. From there, you learn the experiences, you get to know people, you get to be friends with people as well. So I think uh, if you're living in different countries, like learning about their own language and learning about their culture would be the best point for you to, like stay there and be more close and act as a bridge for your country and the country that you're residing. Okay. So, okay, I want to say, like this is a typical thing which we do in Nepal. So it's called a Nepalese Nod. So this is a yes. Okay. So what I want to explain you via this gesture is that we're always having, this misunderstanding between people. So when I was in university, my professor, they were very, very kind. So I told you I was the only Nepali in the whole class. So, this professor, I used to be in last bench there up there, and he used to just wave at me, and he used to say, yeah, Mr. Sujan, okay, did you understand or not? He used to ask me, and I used to say, yeah, I used to be like that. And he used to like, did you understand or not? And I was like, wow. And he was like, he just kind of like, come on, man, what are you telling me? Did you understand or not? And after that, like, he said, okay, let it be. And he went out of the classes. And then after that, he did not speak to me for such a long period of time. And I got very scared, like, did I do something wrong? And then I went to him and I personally talked to him. And I said, like, Professor, did I do something wrong? Like, I don't think I've done any mistakes. But these days you're acting a little bit weird. And he said, last time I tried to be friends with you. I tried to ask you that you understood or not about the classes that we had. And you were doing like this. So that I think it's a kind of a misunderstanding between the professor and me. If I would have told him, like in Nepal, this means yes. And I'm not used to that much of Korean because I've not been here in Korea for 3 to 4 years now. And here in Korea, it's like completely, you have to say "nee" like this. And "안녕" is this. So he said, like, you're completely shaking your head like that. And I thought you were like insulting me. So I said, oh, Professor, I'm so sorry. Like in Nepal, this is a kind of thing, what we do it from childhood. So it's been in me for such a long period of time. So just don't take it as a serious note, you know. So he was laughing in tears, and we were both like, what, in Nepal, this is yesterday? I didn't know for a long time, you know. So that's how I told him. So I think even we have our own duties, you know, like I say, yeah, I come from Nepal. I tell this to so many people. People will have now known about the Nepalese Nod, but this is not the thing, you know, like everywhere you go, you have to keep on influencing people. You have to keep on telling about what happens in Nepal, because in Nepal, you've been for 20 to 25 years, and these are some of the, you know, like habits that you have from childhood. But it needs a little bit of time to change. But people here might be, you know, a little bit offended by these kind of stuff as well. I think this is only a small part, you know, but there are so many other big things that we have to keep on telling people that this is not good in our country. This is how it happens in our country. So I think this might sound a little bit, you know, like just like this is nothing, you know, like it's a Nepalese Nod, you might think, but this thing would be creating a little bit of misunderstanding, and this misunderstanding would be growing into big things, into discrimination, and, you know, like and whole other lot of things. So for me, I think these kind of fears, these kind of discrimination, everything comes from ignorance, I think. Okay, so if we become ignorant, if we don't try to learn from people, if we don't try to you know, get used to what people are doing, if we don't try to learn from people, if we just ignore it, this kind of misunderstanding will come up, and this misunderstanding would completely lead us to discriminating people. So I think you should be very much careful about, you know, like telling people openly about your culture, the habits that you have, the things that you're already doing in Nepal. So, you know, like it's a transition, because for us, we cannot, you know, just change like that. Habits, you know, the things we have been doing from childhood, the culture we have been learning from childhood, it just cannot completely change. But we can explain it to people and tell them that, okay, this is not accepted here, or we cannot do these kind of stuff in our country. So I think you have to be familiar with these kind of stuff. So, you know, like this is how we can open up and tell about this kind of things that has been happening for us. So this would not lead us to ignorance, and this would not lead us to misunderstanding, and would not lead us to discrimination, I think. Okay. So also, this is the most important thing I believe we have to, because religion, we have our own relationship, you know, like I don't tell the religions are bad. Every religion tells us, every religion talks about mankind and human being. That's the only thing we are missing out here, you know, because we're trying to be more greedy, we're trying to be more you know, like jealous of people. But every religion, even if I'm Buddhist, even if I'm Christian, even if I go to church, even if I go to any places, the first old thing would be mankind. So I think we're always trying to, you know, like get rid of this kind of thing. This is a very, very basic thing that every religion thing talks firstly about mankind. So I think this kind of thing you cannot be, you know, like ignoring, and you cannot be just like getting it away, even if you're from a various background, or even if you continue doing your own religion. So I think mankind is the greatest religion that we can have in the whole world. Okay, so for even here, for Koreans, for us, you know, like we have dreams about working abroad as well. There are so many Koreans who have been working as an you know, as an assistant nurse, or as an, you know, the coal miners in Germany. So everyone, you know, like they even have, even us, for us, you know, like we go to other countries and work. So everything we have is experience. All the things that we take is you know, the suggestions and the good things back to our country. So I don't think, you know, everywhere you go, anywhere you go, the only thing is we have to be thinking about this particular sadasanga, that's Yakuchisachi. So it's completely like putting yourself in another's shoe. So this is how we have to always think, you know, we're just only thinking about ourselves and myself. So it's not that, you know, like we have to think about what that people might think, what that might have been. So even in the Ajashi case, when he said, you know, like you stink, I think he might had a fight with his wife, or maybe he had a bad day in a job, and just his tongue slipped and it just came out, right? So yeah, if I change my shoes, if I think about what he has been through, then maybe I could have a little bit of understanding. So I'm not trying to say, like you just have to totally be in another's shoes, but I try to say, like, if you just change the perceptions and you change the thing and just think, you might have a little, like chances to endure that and take it as other thing as well. So I think this particular 사자성어 역지사지 is a very, very good word, I think, which we can apply in every part of our life. Okay, so these days we talk about globalization, global, even here in South Korea, now the number of foreigners, people are rising every time. So I think friends is the best thing that we can have, So once you are a friend, you cannot discriminate a friend, or you cannot tell anything to a friend. And if we are friends, no one would be able to, discriminate, or no one will be able to try to misunderstand you, if you're a friend. So as a global people, as a global person living here, it's better to make friends, right off than making any kind of bad people. So I think a global influence with, global friends would be better than someone having not having your back and not caring about yourself. Okay. So these days it's coronavirus is going on, I think I, you, and we is the best mantra that we can have. So yeah, I know we have to put our masks everywhere we go, like every public places that we go for. But I think we must put on the physical mask that we have. But I think we need to take off the mask that is not seen, the masks of discrimination, the mask of ignorance, the mask of hatred in you. So I think, be careful with the COVID and put your physical mask, the mask that we have everywhere you go, but just try to be sure that you, take out your unseen mask of ignorance and hatred. Yeah, I think it's been a great time, like I think I've said a lot about so many things that happened here in South Korea with me as well. If we had more time, then I could have discussed more with you. But still, I think there might be something to learn from here, I guess. So even great people said, there are three kinds of people in here that exist. So the first one is like, if we say something, they just hear and they just ignore. The second person is like, if I say something, they say, okay, he means something, like there's something to learn. And the third person is, if I say something to him, or if I say something, he says, okay, that's a good point to do, like we should be putting this into action. So I don't know, like out of these three people, I want to be the first one who can listen to many things and, like put it into action, but I'm not that person right now. So hope you can think about yourself and see which three person you are. And I hope you learned something from whatever I said today. So yeah, all the best to all of you, and thank you for listening.